A sand drying bed is a simple filtration system to remove the water from the septage. The captured water, or what we call effluent, is further treated before it is returned to the environment to prevent contamination. Sand drying beds should be constructed with coarse-grained sand that is free of tiny particles and debris, having less than 5% of silt and clay. The purpose of this video is to demonstrate how to conduct a jar test to determine the suitability of the sand for use in the sand bed. It can take up to 1 day to conduct a jar test, so it is best to plan in advance. For this test, you will need the following equipment: a 1-liter glass jar with a tight-fitting lid, a sample of the sand to be tested, a watch or clock, and 1 liter of clean water. First, take a sample of the sand and pour it into the glass jar so the jar is half full. Then, fill the jar with the clean water, allowing 1 inch of airspace at the top. Seal the jar with a tight-fitting lid. Shake the jar vigorously for 1 minute to totally disperse the sand in the water. Now, set the jar on a shelf and let the sand settle. The sand in the sample will settle readily in about 5 minutes. It will form a solid layer filling most of the space that the sand originally occupied. If the water on top is clear, there is very little silt or clay remaining, and you can call your test complete. If the water remaining on top of the sand is cloudy, wait 1 hour. 1 hour is enough time for the silt to settle out. If there was silt in the sample, it will form a layer on top of the sand that is easily visible. If the water remaining on top of the sand and silt is clear, the test is done. If it is still cloudy, it means that there are clay particles remaining in the sample. Let the sample settle for another 8 hours. If the water on top of the sand and silt is clear, the test is done. If not, let it settle for the remaining 15 hours for a total settling time of 24 hours. You should see a 3rd layer sitting on top of the silt layer. This is the clay layer. Using a ruler, measure the height of the contents of the jar from the bottom up to the level of the water. Divide that height by 20 and note the result. Then measure the thickness of each layer of clay and silt. If the height of the clay and silt is below the result, the sand is good enough to use. If not, the sand needs to be washed and the test rerun with a cleaned sample of the sand. This simple jar test can also be used to test a sample of soil. Soil analysis is usually performed to determine the type and suitability of soil around your facility for the final disposal of the liquid byproduct of your treated septage. Congratulations! You have learned the jar testing technique.